All right, Boomer guys. Okay, so one of the things we wanted to do for Gears 2 was get a lot more mileage out of some of the characters that we had. So we looked at the Boomer class, Locust, decided to give him some attachments. We could basically get different creatures and characters out of some of the existing ones that we had, stretch them, get more mileage out of them, stuff like that. So one of the other things was enemy variety in Gears 1 wasn't as robust as we'd liked, right? So we wanted to create more enemies, more different variations and things like that.
All right, for this Boomer helmet, we knew that we wanted the Boomer to kind of have a flail or a mace kind of thing. So I figured I'd kind of go back, do a little throwback on his helmet to kind of a Viking kind of deal, but put a Locust spin on it. Of course, everyone knows kind of that Frank Frazetta kind of horned helmet thing, so it lended itself pretty well to the Boomer, his stature and everything. I think it came out one of the better looking characters in the game, one of my favorites.
So this is a flail helmet that the flail Boomer uses, real Frazetta-esque inspired. An artist here, Mark Morgan, modeled it. We wanted to give the Boomers different silhouettes. So this is the horned flail, almost medieval type Boomer, and he just comes out and his little flail explodes and he's got some crazy behavior. Cool. This is kind of the first pass at the helmet. Mark had skinned this up. We've since refined it and tweaked it a little bit and stuff. This is what he's going to look like in game. This guy's kind of a medieval warrior looking guy. So he's got the horns on his helmet, he's holding the flail, he's got the shield, so he kind of comes out and he's real heavily armored and ready to kick your ass, I guess. So some of the stuff we wanted to have was some distinctive emissive on him, distinctive silhouette, some of the lighting enhancements that we did to the engine give this whole thing a real Frazetta-esque vibe.
All right, so this guy, we wanted to get a little more technical with this helmet because he is holding the chain gun. So we kind of wanted to do something, or I kind of wanted to do something that looked like he had some kind of optical sensors or something in his hat, in his, on his visor. I also wanted to break up the profile and make him really different than anything else in the game. So kind of give him this kind of top hat kind of feel, which you can definitely discern him from the other guys.
So this is the Mulcher. He's the Boomer with the Gatling gun. We wanted to give him a very distinct silhouette from the flail Boomer, so you can see him from a distance and really identify who he is and what he does and stuff. This is another shot of him with his final shaders. He's got a little bit of emissive on his helmet. He's holding his Gatling gun there. You can see the light, kind of how the shadows. These are all in-engine shots, and just to show off the final model.
This is pretty straightforward. Basically, they wanted a guy that, one of the Boomers that looked like he had been, working in a slaughterhouse or something like that. It was pretty easy to do because the Boomer's such a great character to start with, so we just threw a bloody apron on him and then, gave him a Locust version of a meat cleaver. And it was a lot of fun to do, and actually probably only took a day and a half or so because it was a no-brainer.
This is a Butcher Boomer. He's got kind of a distinct little helmet on there, and he's got an apron made of little bits of flesh and stuff from all the things he's butchered, I guess, and he's got a giant cleaver, and he'll be covered with blood, and he's got meat hooks. You'll see this guy in the caves, and he kind of butchers the rock worms and stuff, and I guess he'll have a melee attack that he can come after you with. Here he is all with his shaders on him, all bloody, all that stuff, looking crazy.
All right, this is the Locust Mechanic. Again, just really straightforward. We knew that we wanted to use the same kind of assets as the Butcher, so it was basically a texture change and then throw some wrenches and stuff on him. And nothing too crazy, just wanted to change him up a bit.
One of the other little outfits we gave these guys is this is the construction Boomer. He's kind of a mechanic. He's got a funky looking Locust wrench. He's got some hoses. You'll see these guys throughout the hollow working on things, scaffolding, stuff like that. After the first light mass attack, they needed to rebuild some of the area. So these guys are kind of the construction workers that build all that stuff. And here's what he'll look like in the game, or what he looked like in the game. He's got kind of a leather apron, his hose.
For a lot of the creatures, we wanted to come up with a not quite boss fight, but more of a mini-boss. And so taking the boomers as kind of a platform for some of these experiences seemed like a natural evolution. The Mauler is a prime example of this with the shield. Since our game is so much focused on cover and flanking, we basically wanted this creature that really forced a player to flank and to think of another way to fight him. So he's got this big impenetrable shield, and you have to kind of tie him down and then have one of your buddies flank around the side and kind of take him out. The actual construction of the shield is pretty much so that the player can walk around with it as well. We wanted to be able to pick it up and use it as another element for single player, multiplayer as well. And so the kind of telescoping bits on the shield to make it expand and cover larger creatures was a big part of that design. Once the boomer starts taking damage and he's kind of aware of your presence, he kind of turtles up. And basically from the direction you're firing at him from, he's more or less invulnerable. And it's forcing the player to keep him kind of tied up. And the AI or the co-op player or another player in multiplayer on your squad, they basically need to flank around him and take him out from the side. So we wanted it to be this kind of quintessential combat, cover, flanking experience, just all boiled down into one big creature that kind of summarizes all those actions for the player. One of the big goals with this guy also is just that he be imposing, and the choice of the weapon is this flail that is basically a point-blank, in-your-face grenade. It's capable of taking out an entire squad if it gets close. We really wanted this guy to be this force that, you can shoot him, you can lock him down for a little bit, and he's going to slow down, but you can never ignore him, or he's going to charge right up into the midst of your group, and with this giant weapon, he's just going to take all of you out. You can never underestimate him, and he's just this real source of fear.